It was a Friday night, one of those nights where the silence in the house felt almost too loud. I sat in the dark living room, my mind racing. Just a few days ago, I stumbled upon something that would change everything. A text message notification on my wife's phone, a message she'd obviously meant to hide it. Wasn't the kind of thing you expect after 5 years of marriage. Our relationship had its ups and downs. Sure, but I always thought we were solid, so when I saw the message from a name I didn't recognize, something deep inside me just knew it was one of those gut feelings you hear about, the kind you can't ignore. I clicked on the message, and there was proof of an affair. They were planning a date night. It stung reading those words, but I couldn't look away. I went through the message history and saw the emotional connection, the excitement, the flirty exchanges. It hurt more than I'd ever imagined. I was living in a world that felt like it was crumbling around me. But I knew one thing: I had to play it cool. At least until I had a plan. The next few days were agonizing. I couldn't bring myself to confront her immediately. Instead, I put in an Oscar-worthy performance, pretending everything was normal while gathering the strength to confront her. But deep down, I was boiling with anger and betrayal. I kept thinking of all the memories we shared, and every single one felt tainted. Finally, Friday arrived, the night of their date. She told me she was going out with some friends and would be back late. I nodded, pretending I believed her story, even managing a forced smile. She kissed me goodbye, and it took everything in me not to pull away as soon as the door closed behind her. I sprang into action. I set up the living room, dimmed the lights, and positioned myself on the couch with her favorite wine, a bottle she'd recognize immediately. I wanted everything to look calm, almost calculated. I had no intention of yelling or getting emotional. I wanted her to walk in and feel the weight of my disappointment and betrayal. Hours passed as I waited in silence, each tick of the clock echoing in the room. Then around midnight I heard her car pull into the driveway. My heart pounded, knowing this was the moment of truth. The door opened slowly and she stepped in, surprised to see me. Awake, her eyes widened as she noticed the dim lighting and the wine on the table. I could tell she sensed something was wrong, but she tried to play it cool, offering a weak smile. "Hey, you're still up," she said, sounding nervous. "Yeah, couldn't sleep," I replied. And calmly, locking eyes with her, she looked away, probably to avoid what she knew was coming. She took a step forward, but I stopped her. "How was your night?" he asked, watching her closely. "Oh, just a quiet night with the girls," she said, her voice a little too casual. I took a slow sip of wine, letting Thessalon's linger with the girls, her eyes said, letting my voice drop just enough for her to feel the tension. Her face shifted, the color draining as she realized I wasn't buying her story. She opened her mouth to say something, but I raised a hand. "Save it," I said, pulling out my phone. "I know where you were tonight, and I know who you were." With her eyes went wide with shock, her hand covering her mouth. For the first time she looked genuinely afraid. "Look," she stammered. "I can explain." She tried to step closer, but I stood up, creating a wall of distance between us. "Explain," I repeated, feeling the anger I'd kept bottled up for days starting to bubble over. "Explain how you've been sneaking around behind my back. Explain how you could lie to my face every single day." She was speechless, her eyes tearing up as she realized there was no talking her way out of this. I could see her searching for words, anything to make it right, but nothing came. I thought we had something real. "Zaid," my voice cracking, despite my best effort to stay calm. "I trusted you, I gave you everything, and this is what I get in return." She broke down, sobbing, reaching out to me, but I backed away. "Please, just let me explain," she begged. "Explain. You've been explaining nothing but lies for weeks. I don't want your excuses," I replied coldly, my heart aching but my mind determined. "I'm done being a fool." The silence that followed was heavy. She looked at me, her face streaked with tears, but I couldn't feel pity. I had spent too many nights wondering what went wrong, and now I had my answer. "Pack your things," I said, my voice barely more than a whisper. "I want you out by tomorrow." The look on her face was one I'll never forget pure regret and desperation. But I was past the point. Of sympathy, she had made her choice, and now she was facing the consequences as I watched her retreat to the bedroom still crying. It felt a strange sense of relief. The betrayal hurt, but at least now I knew the truth. There was no more pretending, no more living a lie. That night, as I sat alone on the couch, I realized that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is let go. But in that moment, I knew that letting her go was the only way I could finally be free.